Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Winter storms were tough on all Virginians this year, including farmers. Some farmers never stopped growing fresh vegetables this winter. And lambing season has come around again on many Virginia sheep farms.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Dinwiddie County, one of the areas hit the hardest by an ice storm last month.
Recent winters have been relatively mild in Virginia, so the harsh ice storms that struck last month were a rude reminder to many farmers that February is still winter in the Old Dominion. Fortunately, whether it's a snowstorm or a thunderstorm, most farmers have a backup generator for when the power goes out.
The backup is our auxiliary power unit, and if it fails, then we fail.
That's because poultry producers use automated equipment to feed and water the birds being raised inside.
Our auxiliary tank for the unit is 275 gallons of diesel fuel, and when it's running at full capacity under a full load, that 275 will last us about 3 days. So then we have to be prepared to offload fuel at another site on the farm to bring it down to this tank to make sure that it has fuel for the next 24 hours.
Burning hundreds of gallons of diesel fuel can be expensive. Robert Womack raises poultry and other livestock at his 700-acre farm in Cumberland County. He was without power for 71 hours in February after ice storms hit central Virginia.
The average electric bill for the chicken house operation is probably around $2,000 a month. And you take just for this 3 days, at current market price, just checked a little while ago, diesel fuel's $2.10. Well, generator's burning 5 gallons of diesel fuel an hour. This one little 3-day outage, that's $700 and some straight out of my pocket.
If his normal power supply goes out, Womack has a 200 kilowatt generator that kicks in once the system detects that there's been no power for 3 seconds. That generator runs his main chicken houses. He also has 4 other smaller generators on his property for wells, fences, and fans for his grain bins. Parts of Southside Virginia had some of the longest outages in the state in February. Billy Bain raises cattle, hay, and row crops at Double B Farms in Dinwiddie County. He was out of power for 4 days.
All storms are bad, whether it's in the summer or the winter, but this ice storm has been very detrimental to our operation. Of course, we lost current right away. Everything was pretty well glazed over, and we fortunately had a generator to keep the home going, keep that warm. But it's just takes twice as long to feed up the cattle in the mornings, and which is very slow because it's so muddy and sloppy.
Bain's grandson, Austin Hale, will be taking over farm operations in the near future, along with his brother. He's been getting a crash course on how to keep things running during severe weather.
I've been having to keep all the generators going, had to start all the generators up. Being the younger one around, you get delegated all that, so I've been filling generators up twice a day and every 12 hours, keeping them running and feeding the cows.
Hale says he's also helped some cleanup crews clear debris to make the roads in their county passable. Normally they wouldn't have time for that, but the loss of power put their everyday work behind schedule.
We're just jammed up right now because no power. Needed to haul grain, and the grain facilities we're normally delivering to are in just as bad, if not worse shape than we are, and don't have power, so just kind of sitting idle right now waiting.
Virginia farmers know the key to dealing with a long-term power outage is preparation. Farmers like Womack test their backup equipment weekly, no matter what the weather is, just to be sure. In Cumberland County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
Rural Virginians receive electricity from 13 individual electric cooperatives, which are members of the Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware Association of Electric Cooperatives. These smaller electricity distribution networks are run as nonprofit cooperatives that are technically owned by their members, the customers. The cooperative business model dates back almost a century to when rural Americans were unable to get for-profit electric companies to run power to the countryside. While most of these electric cooperatives serve very rural parts of the state, others are the primary power providers for suburban Northern Virginia.
Coming up, we're going to be talking about growing vegetables in cold weather from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
You don't have to wait for warm weather to garden if you have the right equipment. Chris Mullins from Virginia Cooperative Extension shows us how one farmer raises fresh produce all year long from the ground up.
Well, hi and welcome. Today we're in Louisa County, Virginia. We're at Hill Farm. We're here with Susan Hill. Susan, thanks for letting us come out today.
You're welcome.
Now, you do a lot of growing in the wintertime, well, all year round, but right now we're talking about wintertime.
Okay.
Tell me what you've been doing here at the farm. How long have you been here? What do you do?
All right, we've been growing vegetables for about 11 years now, and production is the biggest in the wintertime. So we love winter, lots going on, and I'd like to take you on a little tour.
Let's go see what you've got going on.
All right.
Susan, this is wonderful. Tell me about what you're growing in this high tunnel.
Well, we've got a little bit of everything in here. This is a variety of radishes. I am a radish nut.
Oh, wow. That is great.
Yeah, I just love radishes, so I grow all kinds of radishes. Collards, you have to grow collards in the wintertime. Swiss chard. Back here is more Swiss chard. Kohlrabi, it likes the winter. This is an Asian green, and lettuces. There's nothing like a salad in the wintertime.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. Well, you know, these things that you've mentioned here are all like cold weather, don't they?
Yes, they do, and that's what we focus on, is growing with the seasons. Okay. It's very important. If you grow with the seasons, you're not fighting all the other things that are from the outside. So here these are vegetables that are all extremely cold tolerant.
I think that's important for you as having an enterprise, a business where you sell these, but maybe for a gardener too that wants to grow something in the wintertime. I think it's probably important to figure out what you want to grow and if it's cold hardy enough for the wintertime.
Right, and you have resources out there, Chris. You have the Extension Service. Cooperative Extension has vast amount of information on what you can grow in this climate. Yep. So
exactly.
their master gardeners are a great resource also. And then get a seed catalog. And start reading about what temperatures it's tolerant.
Right, so that means that, you know, not having a high tunnel like this, you could probably still grow some of these things, depending on where you are, of course. And the seed catalogs and extension can help you with that. You can find varieties that you can grow all through the wintertime.
Right, and the key, I think, is to start small so that you can experiment, because not all lettuces are the same. And so you have to read the packages, ask friends, talk to your cooperative people about what lettuces grow, not lettuces and spinaches, grow in the wintertime. Spinach grows through the snow.
Yeah, wow.
Doesn't care.
How did you, before you kind of graduated into this high tunnel, this greenhouse type situation, how did you grow?
I actually grew outside and grew up in Montana. So I'm used to cold weather growing. But anyway, when I started growing in Virginia, what I did was I covered with just what's called a low tunnel. All you need is some of these hoops, which you make out of electric fence wire. Just take those, put them over on the ground, and cover them. And you're going to get enough protection because that moisture is not going to go directly on the plant.
That is great. So I think, you know, I think a home gardener can do something like that. Let's look and see some of the beds you might still have outside.
Okay, that'd be great.
Well, Susan, this is a really nice raised bed. And I think this is what a lot of gardeners might have.
Absolutely.
And so this is somewhere you could do something like this with these hoops. These are the ones you were talking about, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
How do you do that in here?
Okay, well, first of all, we have to use our imagination a little bit.
Right.
Okay, this is bigger than what you'd want to start. I keep telling you, start small. Okay, so cut this maybe in half to do it. Okay, build your sides. We like it a little taller because it's a little easier to work.
Sure.
Okay, and I've grown like this for years, so this is not a problem. And then you get this wire, which is electric fence wire, is the least expensive way to do it. Got everything planted here, and we're going to look for all the varieties that we can find online.
Right.
Look at different varieties that have cold tolerance, whatever. Okay, and then we're going to put these, you don't even have to drill holes if you don't want to. Put them in the ground like this. Okay. All right. This is how wide our bed is. And if you wanted to build one this big, you just do 2 rows.
Sure.
Okay? All right, and then you're going to get a good row cover.
Okay.
This is called row cover.
This just goes right
And you're going to put it down just like that. And then I'd get some rocks or bricks and put them along here. Plant your lettuces, spinach, whatever you'd like to have in there, and watch it grow.
Now, do you take these off during the day, or do you leave them on all the time?
You could. I think outside you're going to do fine leaving them on most of the time, because you're going to get some light through these, and you're going to get moisture through them. And then if it snows, just pick them up, shake them, and put them back down again.
That's great. I think this would work great.
Yeah.
Raised beds, the right plant types and varieties, really makes it for the home gardener to be able to do something.
Absolutely, and you can grow all winter long. I met a woman in West Virginia that grows commercially, and this is how she does it. She has rows, long rows, with the row covers on it, and goes in and picks her spinach, puts it back down. She just lifts it, picks, puts it back down, puts her bricks, and goes.
That's great. Well, Susan, thank you so much for allowing us to come out today and see some of the great things you're doing here.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Well, for more information about growing in cold weather, contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from The Green Kitchen. Coming up, we're going to show you guys how to make some delicious vinegar-style barbecue. Stay with us.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
Fresh Fork Barbecue is a welcome treat any time of the year. Chef Tammy Brawley shows us a simple method to make your own in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Tammy Brawley from The Green Kitchen, and we are here at Meadow Event Park with Heart of the Home, and we are here today to do some delicious vinegar-style barbecue. Barbecue really does cause quite a great divide. South of the Mason-Dixon line is, to me, my favorite. North of the Mason-Dixon line, they call it pulled pork, but really it is a noun, not a verb. We've got some great Virginia pork that we're going to be using today, but we're going to start with our sauce. We have got some onions that we're going to be putting in, but we also are going to start with about a half a cup of butter. Oh, nice and sizzle. Pan is nice and hot. And we're going to come back and we're going to add about a cup of vinegar. And we're going to add about a half a cup of ketchup. And about a tablespoon or so, a little less maybe, of chopped garlic. We're going to add a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of coarse ground pepper. And we're actually going to add a tablespoon of dry mustard. Want a little acid there. And if you guys ever head to South Carolina, they actually do mustard in their barbecue sauce. And then we're going to add just about a quarter of a teaspoon or so. Depending on how spicy you like it, you can make it more. We're going to add a little bit of cayenne pepper and a half a cup of brown sugar. And we're going to add some onions. Stir that up just a little bit. Starting to smell that vinegar. It's going to make me start to laugh, getting in my jaws there. And then we are going to juice a half of a lemon. All right, now we're going to let that come to a boil. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. Our sauce has come to a boil. It's simmered nice, and our onions are cooking nicely. Now we're going to talk about the pork. This recipe, I love to cook a pork shoulder. We've got some great Virginia pork here from our friends at Old Tavern Farm, and we are going to chop the barbecue, and then we're going to add our sauce to it, and then we are ready to eat. So I've got a crock pot here. I have let this come to cool, but we pull our pork out that's cooked overnight, and we want to put it on our cutting board. And this is where I tend to get really picky. I like to pick off most of the fat, if not all of it. Sometimes it's a little easier to do when it's warm, but you just don't want it to be too hot. But I did let this cook overnight. Pull that fat off as you see me doing. And you want to leave some fat, okay? Fat is actually not your enemy, believe it or not. Fat helps to absorb the vitamins in your body. So you don't have to pull it completely clean, but I like to say this is probably about a 98% fat-free barbecue. We're going to take our knife and just start chopping a little bit. Now, north of the Mason-Dixon line, they call this pulled pork. I don't call it pulled pork. I like my Q chopped. All right, and we're going to mix it to the remaining pork. And now we're going to add that delicious sauce. Now this particular recipe, I love doing it this way. I do have a lot of diners who, when they taste it, they want to add hot sauce. Hot sauce is fine, but I don't believe you need to add a barbecue sauce. That's where the Midwest barbecue comes in, where they add more of the molasses syrupy based. Don't get me wrong, if somebody offered me one, I'd eat it in a heartbeat, but the vinegar based is definitely my favorite. We have a bun already ready. Bun of your choice. Some people like potato rolls. I personally just like a plain hamburger bun. And yes, I like a fat barbecue sandwich. And I do have a little bit of a treat. We've got some Virginia grown cucumbers here that I pickled myself this summer. This is my last jar. I'm going to miss these come more into winter. So we've got some delicious dill pickle right there on the side. And there you have it, a vinegar-style based barbecue with a delicious Virginia-grown pickle on the side. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next week for Virginia Heart of the Home for some more delicious recipes.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Mankind's been smoking meat for centuries, but food historians agree that the American tradition of pork barbecue has its roots in the Caribbean. That's where meats were smoked slowly using green wood, a cooking style brought to the colonies by Spanish explorers. Once called barbacoa, the tradition of smoking meat, especially pork, spread as far north as Virginia and as far west as Texas. Today, there are 4 distinct barbecue styles in the nation: Carolina, Kansas City, Memphis, and Texas style. Here in the Old Dominion, we even have our own regional recipes.
Harsh winter weather can be tough on both farmers and livestock. Ricky Gibson explains what Virginia sheep producers must do to protect their early spring lambs.
There are 73,000 head of sheep and lambs in Virginia, and many of them are born in late January and early February. That's a potentially harsh time for a baby animal to be born outside, so sheep producers take extra steps to care for them.
Wintertime, it's very important that they lamb inside. You're dealing with a small animal that weighs lots of times less than 10 pounds. And that animal gets cold, the core temperature can go down really quickly. So it's important that they're inside, and we have them come in the barn when they lamb. hopefully they're inside all the time, but a lot of times the ewes will sneak outside and they may lamb outside. But if they lamb outside on a day like today, on the snow and on the ice, the chances of that little animal making it are not real good.
David Shiflett of Augusta County has 300 head of sheep and lambs on his farm. He and his family raise 2 breeds of sheep for the meat market, to sell as breeding stock and for young people to buy as show animals. A retired agriculture instructor and FFA advisor, he's been caring for sheep for decades.
In the wintertime, when the forage is not available, and when we're lambing, yes, they get fed pretty good. They have to, or they're not going to produce. And if you don't take care of them, you end up with little weak lambs, and they don't milk well and they don't grow well. So, it's a twice-a-day operation every day, and it doesn't matter whether it's snow up to your knees or whether it's below zero. They've still got to eat and drink. So you're out here every day, twice a day, taking care of the animals.
Shiflett says his black-faced Suffolk breed sheep typically give birth in the fall, but the white-faced Dorset sheep lamb in early spring to avoid pregnancy during hot weather. Shiflett has a system for new lambs. They spend a few days penned just with their mothers to get used to each other. Then they mix together in a larger pen before being turned loose outside. Most of the time, young lambs adjust quickly, but there are always a few that need extra help. Those are the ones that usually cost as much to raise as they're worth, but sheep producers care for them just the same.
We've got a few orphans this year. You get orphans for different reasons. If a lamb is cold, and sometimes we'll have to take them and put them in what we call a hot box, which is a heating pad, and we put a towel on the heating pad, put the lamb in, and we'll cover the lamb up with another towel and put them in there to get them warm. After you do that, sometimes the ewe won't take them back. They don't want them. You may have a situation where you have a ewe that doesn't have enough milk for maybe 2 or 3 lambs, and you've got an orphan of that group. Or there are times when you'll have a ewe that will die for whatever reason, and you've got her lambs to raise. So we do end up with some orphans for various reasons, and yes, they take a lot of time. They've got to be fed several times a day.
Decades ago, sheep wool was a valuable commodity and farmers sold it by the pound. Shiflett says today, wool is not very valuable, but the market for lamb meat is growing, particularly among some ethnic communities.
A lot of ours that goes to the restaurant trade, I'm sure some of that goes to the ethnic market. We haven't tapped into that market locally. It's just that we haven't needed to. Some people do. Some producers cater more to an ethnic market. We sell some to local restaurants here, in the valley. And we're seeing more people, particularly some of the millennials, are liking lamb. And I don't know. Hopefully, more and more of them will. Americans as a whole don't eat a lot per capita of lamb, but it is a very good meat protein source.
Sheep were among the very first livestock brought to colonial Virginia, and sheep used to be a mainstay of farming in the mountains of the Old Dominion. That changed after the end of World War II as the sheep industry shifted west. Beginning in the 1980s, Virginia's sheep numbers declined significantly as the price of wool shrank, prices shrank, older producers aged out, and predators like coyotes hit profits hard. Sheep and lambs are not major moneymakers anymore, but Shiflett says it's worth raising them even if they don't make a lot of money.
Oh, we enjoy doing it, and you like to think that you don't do it just for the fun of it. It has to be profitable, and it can be profitable, but it takes a lot of work. And it can be frustrating at times when you work with a lamb and you work with him and you work with him and he still doesn't make it. It can be frustrating. But we enjoy doing it, and if we didn't, we wouldn't have them.
While sheep and lambs are no longer common livestock for Virginia farmers, they can be a profitable niche market. And producers like Shiflett are dedicated to making sure their livestock are healthy and safe, no matter how cold the weather is. In Augusta County, Virginia, I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your lawn and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we're proud to say that this is real Virginia. For everybody from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching and make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
They're out there on the front lines. The brave, the dedicated, the relentless. But there's another front line. The one that helps nourish all others while facing epic struggles of their own. So in this season of uncertainty, a few things remain certain. The rain will fall, the sun will shine, and together we'll continue to grow.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
There are 30,000 roadway accidents each year involving cars and farm machinery. Farmers will be moving equipment for planting and harvest season. The slow-moving vehicle triangle in red and fluorescent orange colors and flashing lights allow for quick identification. When you see an SMV sign on farm equipment, slow down, prepare for sudden stops and slow turns.
Patience will save lives. Just remember, we all need to share the road, we all need to be responsible, and we need to be guided by the law.
Motor vehicle safety starts with you.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us. All of us. You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food. You're going to need our determination, our compassion. You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch!
Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.